Hello students, hope you are well and working hard to achieve your goals. So today we are discuss our next 4 topics and the last topics of this chapter, that is savings, aggregate demand, aggregate supply, and the last one is the business cycle. That how these 4 terms are related with the economics and how these terms are used in the economics. So first of all, we'll discuss our key terms. First is savings. As example, piggy bank used by the children. This is the main and the simple example of the savings, because the money is not spent on purchasing something but keep for ourselves. It is known as savings. Next, our key term is demand. Like a kid wants to eat a ice cream and he purchases it. It is called demand. Likewise, a person wants to buy a car. He is willing to buy and has the capacity to buy it. Called as demand. Because in this he has a need. Willingness means need to buy that. And capacity is related to the money. So if he has a need and has a money and then he buy that, it is known as demand. So next one is the supply. As there is a various terms that are available in the market, like clothes, toys, food. What are these? These are the goods that are sold in the market, or the producer produces these goods. Likewise, a farmer produces wheat and send it into the market to sell. So this is known as a supply, because that goods are provided in the market for selling purpose. This is called supply. Next, our key term is employment. It is a position where employees work in factory or in industry or anywhere else where they can get in return a money. It is called employment. Next, output. Output means the quantity of the goods and the services produced. Means if a farmer produces goods, if a farmer produces wheat, then wheat is the output for his production. Next, our key term is depression. Depression, like when currency changes as on 8th November 2016. So there is a situation where the economic activity declines and the condition becomes bad. So people starting losing their jobs, and this is called as depression, because at that time the economy goes down. So next, there is a recession that is related to the depression, because recession is a starting point where the depression comes after some time, or where the economy starts getting weak. It is called depression. Recession. Next, our key term is prosperity. It is a state of being wealthy where basic needs of money and happiness are fulfilled. Basic needs like food, clothes, shelter, these are the basic needs that are required and that is fulfilled, and then we are at the position of prosperity. So our next first topic is savings. As I show you example, first one. A person income is 40,000 and his household expenditure is 35,000. So the what rest amount he get is 5,000. If he deposit that money in the bank, called as savings. As I give you example of piggy bank used by children is also a savings. So savings is a money that we get when total income or total amount is not spent. So if saving, S is denoted as saving, Y as income and C is for consumption, then there is a savings is equals to income minus consumption. Means S is equals to Y minus C. So this is called savings. Next one, there is a reasons for saving, why the people save. So first one is pension. so that in the old age they do not have to worry about that time. Next, there is a fulfillment of wants, what the needs they have. So when their wants are fulfilled, this way the purpose they save. Next is for emergency crisis like accidents, sickness. For these purposes people save. So these are the reasons that the people do savings. Next is there is a difference between a saving and a savings, as saving is a flow concept, means related to the per month, per year, but savings is a stock concept, means total funds obtained after a year. So if 5,000 is related to the saving concept, flow concept, per month he saved 5,000, but in a stock concept, when this 5,000 multiplied by 12 and he get a 60,000 amount, that is known as savings. Next, there is a term includes individual saving and the aggregate saving. Individual saving is related to the savings by a household or the savings by a individuals. But in the aggregate savings, there is including of a household sector, means individuals, plus private sectors that are owned by the private persons, or we can say that a group of persons. And the third one is the public sector, where there is a control is of government. So when these are included, that gives us a aggregate saving. Next, we have to study about the factors on which saving depends. So there are two factors, that is power to save and a will to save. In the power to save, there is the surplus income, distribution of income and stable currency system. So in the surplus income, it depends upon the income of the individual. As there is a higher surplus, means they have a low needs and a high income, and rest amount they get a surplus and they can save it. So it is called as surplus. Next is the distribution of income, as how the income is distributed in the country. Like if there is a equal distribution, then there is a everyone has money and there is a low needs, or the needs are equally satisfied and the rest amount they can save it. Next is the stable currency system. Stable currency system includes the monetary system, as how the income is saved or the currency included in this, that is termed as savings. Next, we will consider about the will to save. It includes two factors, subjective and the objective. In the subjective, it depends upon the individuals, but in the objectives, it depends upon the current country. So in the subjective factors, there is the first one is the family affection, as willingness to save, means if we care for our family, so their education purpose or their settlement or for some marriage purpose, birthday parties, people save. So it is due to the family affection. Next one is the habit. There is a habit of the persons to satisfy themselves with a loan or with a lack of needs and more to save. So it depends upon the habits of the individuals. Next one is the status, as what is the status in the society. So if we want to get a better status, we have to save and fulfill our needs. So we save and accordingly fulfill our needs. Next one is the foresightedness. Foresightedness means to save for future. For future, like old age, sickness problems. There are various problems that we are find in the future, and for that purpose the people save. Next one is the objective factors. Objective factors includes rate of interest and facilities for saving. So rate of interest, that is of country or that is government decides. If the rate of interest is more, then the people deposits more money in the bank and get a rate of interest. So it increases the habit of savings. Next is the facilities for saving. That what are the kinds of facilities that are provided by the government or by the country that the people save. So how more facilities are available, more savings there should be. Next concept is aggregate demand. In this we'll study the aggregate, means total value of the goods and services, like demand for food, clothes, to build a house, to purchase raw material, machinery, tools. If these are studied together, that is included in aggregate demand. So we can say that aggregate demand means it refers to the total value of final goods and services demanded in an economy in a year. So income that people ready to spend on the final goods in the economy is aggregate demand. So if we can say that how we write aggregate demand, if C is for consumption demand, that is consumption of goods and services. Investment demand means that goods are demanded for investment purpose like machinery, tools. And X minus M includes the exports and imports. So aggregate demand we can get from consumption plus investment plus exports minus imports. Means aggregate demand is equals to C plus I plus X minus M. That term is aggregate demand. Next is aggregate demand depends upon the price level. As what are the prices? That depends upon demand. So there is an inverse relationship between the aggregate demand and the price level. I show you a graph. Like see, if the price is of rupees 10 and the quantity demanded is 20. So when the price is 10, quantity demanded is 20. But if the price rise to 20, then the quantity demanded is to be 10. So that means when the prices are low, the quantity demanded should be more. But if the prices rises, the demand automatically falls. So this is known as a inverse relationship between the aggregate demand and the price level. So there are various reasons that the aggregate demand, or we can say that there is a inverse relationship between aggregate demand and price level. First one is more spendings. More spendings means the people spend more on the purchasing of goods and the services. When there is a more spendings means more consumption, but supply of the goods and services are not accordingly, and then prices rises. Next is the more savings. This is a reason that if people save more, there is a no demand, and then the prices rises accordingly. So next is more foreign demand, foreign products. If we are exporting more and less rest for the country, and that is leads to the prices rises and demand falls. So these are the reasons that there shows a inverse relationship between the aggregate demand and the price level. Next one is the aggregate supply. In this, like supply, we can say that production of wheat, and that production when sent it to the market, that is known as supply. So when we study the whole things together, when the whole things are supplied into the market, this is known as aggregate supply. Like production of wheat, rice, fruits, vegetables, clothes, toys, machineries, tools, raw material. When these are producing for the purpose is to sell them in the market, it is aggregate supply. So we can say that it refers to the total output of all the goods and the services which all firms are willing to sell at a given price level. It is called aggregate supply. We can understand it with graph. So, there is a positive relationship between the price level and the aggregate supply. Like if the price is of 10 rupees, there is a supply of units 10. Likewise, if prices rises to the 20, then supply is also rise up to 20 units. So this is a positive relationship shows between the aggregate supply and the price level. So next our concept is business cycle. As the example, that is demonetization on 8th November 2016, where due to the change in currency, there was a situation where people lost jobs, there was a reduction in production, and the economy went into the depression, and after some time it recovered. That is called business cycle. As first the economy goes down and after some time it recovered, and it included in the business cycle. So we can say that it refers to the regular fluctuations like ups and downs in economic activities in the economy as a whole. So in the economic activities, there we can consider three things, that is income, production and employment. Income, that is money that the people has. Production means producing the goods and the services in the market, and employment means the employees work in the factory. That these three terms are related with each other and to give economic activity. As if the person has income, he producing the goods and he employs the persons to do a work. So these are known as economic activities. Next day we will discuss the characteristics of the business cycle. First one is it is a wider in scope. As wider in scope means there are the various things that we are included in the business cycle. Like there is not restricted to the one sector only. When depression sets in the industrial section, it cannot restricted there. It soon spreads to the agriculture, land and the other sectors also. So that is why it is wider in scope. Next is the movement. As business cycles has movements in the economic activities. First one, it includes expansion, then it includes depression, and then it includes recession, and then it includes recovery. So means it has a movements likewise. Next our concept is continuous concept. As business cycle tends to occur again and again. Maybe there is a time period for 2 to 3 years or maybe for 6 to 8 years. But it depends upon time and it is a continuous concept. Next one is the aggregate variables. Aggregate variables, it includes the output, income, employment and the prices. So these are the variables that are collectively used and this is called aggregate variables. Next one is the self-reinforcing. Like first there is a demonetization when the value of the currency went down and then changes were made in the policies due to which the value of the currency went up. So that means it is self-reinforcing. Next there comes a phases. Phases of expansion and prosperity, then recession and then contraction and depression, and the last is recovery. So first one is expansion. Expansion and prosperity means there is a full employment, the output is proper and there is a income generated in the economy. Then there is a position comes recession, where the economy goes down. And next that comes depression, means the country comes into the depression point where there is no income, no production and no employment there. Next, after some time they get some policies or they get programs to recover that, and then this cycle completes and again this cycle starts. Like I'll give you an example. First there comes a demonetization. Like first there is a demonetization, it goes down and then it should recover and goes on a prosperity position. Now there comes a coronavirus, COVID-19. So there comes a recession at weak point, and then it comes to the depression, that there is no production, employment and the income generation in the economy. But as soon there comes a recovery and the prosperity stage also. So there is known as business cycle, where these four phases are again and again comes to complete the cycle. So today you have to write the questions of these. First one is, what is aggregate demand? State its components. Second, explain briefly the four distinct phases of business cycle. And then the third question that you have to write answer is, explain the concept of aggregate supply. And then explain briefly the factors that influence the level of savings in a country. So you go for links that can help you more to write the answers of these questions.